Okay, this video is to give you guys an example of what a high-level composition using loops looks like compared to what a low-level composition with loops looks like. So we're going to start with what I would consider to be a high-level composition with loops. And if you have a quick look here, you can see a couple of things straight away that indicate that this is probably going to sound good and probably adheres to the task requirements before we even listen to it. So first of all, I can see it goes for exactly 32 bars, which was a task requirement. So there we go, it goes for 32 bars. I can see that this composition has used all of the required instruments. It's got drums, it's got bass, it's got a chordal instrument, which is piano, and then this one has actually gone the extra mile and used a few other things. So it's got some percussion, some bongos, and some shakers. Remember, you were allowed to use anything else you wanted, as long as you have as a foundation drums, bass, and some kind of chordal instrument. Now, here you can also see it's got two distinct sections. It's got an A section that goes for 16 bars, and it's got a B section that goes for 16 bars. So what I'm going to do now is just quickly play through this. I won't play the whole thing, but I also just want to point out before I play it, look how the loops are placed in a logical fashion. So basically you can see that loops begin and end at logical points. They don't start like on beat 2 like that, or they don't end in bizarre places. Oh, now I can't seem to move that back. Hang on a second. Snap absolute value. There we go. So they're all sort of lined up in a logical way, and this is going to guarantee success. So here I'm going to hit return, go back to the beginning, hit play. I'll just give you an example of what this will sound like. Let's go to our second section now. So let's have a listen to our second section. Great, and there it is. So it's all sort of sounding coherent. It sounds stylistically appropriate, like we've got, instruments of the same kind of, the same world occurring together. Which, you don't always have to do. You can have other sort of, classical instruments inside here and it would still sound great, but it all sounds coherent, it sounds stylistically appropriate, it sounds good. The other thing that this composition demonstrates is if you click here on the mixing desk, you can see that I've adjusted the levels of individual instruments to make sure that they're well balanced. Now, let's have a look at what I consider to be a low example of a composition using loops. So here's my low example. We'll just close that, don't save. Now, straight away, we can see that there's a few issues here. First of all, it doesn't go for 32 bars, and there's not two distinct sections. Also, in this example, there's not a variation of texture, meaning that we never have things dropping in and out, and really we just have the same things over and over again. Also, I've started this loop on beat started bar 1, I've started this one on beat 2, this one on beat 3, this one on beat 4, and this one is starting on bar 2. So this is going to sound like a dog's breakfast. Let's have a little bit of a listen to this one here. You get the idea, it sounds terrible. The other problem is that we've got this jazzy drum kit. Let me just solo this, which sounds great on its own. And then we've got this synth, but straight away they're from two completely different worlds. Now, putting sounds from two completely different worlds is not always a bad thing, but it's a very risky thing to do, and can sound good occasionally, but often doesn't. So be careful. Here, look, we've got two basses. That's a real problem. You don't want two basses. Now, again, we've got this classical piano. And then with this kind of blues harmonica, you know, it's a complete dog's breakfast. And also, as I said before, there's no variation of texture. And here, when I look at the mixer, I haven't adjusted any levels here. See, these four instruments are all at the same level. There's been no adjusting of levels. So this is an example of a low marked loop composition. All right, good luck, boys.